Chapter 81. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Gu Qing nodded. If domestic chips and materials can be used, domestic products should be used first, but the standards of yield rate must be clearly explained to them. We can use them at a high price, but we can't shoddy them. These requirements must be written in contract. It is no problem to help compatriots, and it is no problem to help brothers in other industries, but there are some chilling companies that come up with overseas editions, special supply editions, and foreign business editions. For this kind of company, we must stay away from it. Negotiate the order with Shashin Technology as soon as possible, and try to finalize the matter in these 2 days. I will send you the specific requirements later. Fearing that Dong Qi would be slow to move, he went on to say, the Hanqing factory is on fire, and the supply of high-end chips will be in short supply. Coupled with the impact of virtual currency, there will definitely be no shortage of orders for Shashin Technology, so negotiate early, and the price is not a problem, buy it now and earn it. Dong Qi reminded, Han Xing just issued an announcement earlier saying that the factory's production has not been affected. The fire started at an automated wastewater treatment facility in the factory, far away from the production line. Hearing this, Boss Gu chuckled, Korea people, Neon people, can you believe what they say? It's been so long, and the live video has not been sent out. I think there may be something wrong with the fire in their factory, and the production line may be abolished. Dong Qi said hesitantly, there are reports from the BBC and Koryo TV, and there are no major problems in the public photos. Hearing the BBC, Gu Qin even shook his head and smiled, my good brother, you don't know what the BBC is? And that picture, I think it's fake at a glance, 99% of it is PS. Gu will not know what is going on in that factory. Just kidding, well, after all, he is one of the witnesses, although the 6 arc reactors have a small equivalent, they are enough for the little sticks to drink a pot, so now Han Xing's behavior is very obvious, try to cover up and delay the facts to reduce losses. Wait, why is this operation so familiar? Isn't that how the Fukushima nuclear power plant operated back then? As soon as Gu Qing's thoughts spread out, he almost couldn't stop, but Luo Songtang called him back. Mr. Gu, what about our product naming and testing procedures? Boss Gu thought for a while and said, Titan Star Mechanical Auxiliary Series, Bionic Mechanical Prosthesis CSDYX, for testing, give priority to the relatives of the employees in the factory. After testing the products, the testers can be given a 24-month interest-free 10% discount purchase opportunity. After all, if the fat and water do not flow to outsiders, the benefits of internal employees are still necessary. CSDYX. Luo Songtang muttered these letters in his mouth, still thinking in his mind, this is the abbreviation of those words or standards. Gu Qing nodded and said, the first generation, the first letter of pinyin, will be used in the future. Our products will mainly be Chinese pinyin and Chinese characters, even for export. Let those outsiders stick to their words. Gu has already planned for his own products, using the standards of outsiders all, isn't it helping others to invade culture and designate industry indicators? Okay, Mr. Gu. Regarding the rules of his young boss, Luo Songtang has already understood that when there are no principles and major shortcomings, don't talk too much, just do things honestly. A small meeting ended smoothly, the 2 bosses of the Kyushu Technology Company have fallen into a new round of busy work. Xuanwu, what is Bloomberg doing recently? As one of the founding good roommates, Bloomberg can be said to be in a hidden state when he came in. The announcement materials for Double 11 were prepared a long time ago. Catch up on sleep. Xuanwu's reply was quick and concise. Catch up on sleep. Was he busy before? Gu Qin was a little doubtful, as if he didn't give him any tasks. The 2 softwares in cooperation with the 3 major mobile phone manufacturers need to design the UI interface, the greening design of the factory construction, the appearance design of each model of the Titan Star series home appliance robot, the material design required by the home appliance robot, and the uniform design of the factory employees. Xian Wu put out a long string of words, and Gu Qin blinked in embarrassment, I don't seem to be so skinny. Some time ago, didn't the design department recruit with high salaries and increase the number of employees? Because of the heavy workload, half of the people left before completing the internship period. This. Naturally, Gu Qing would not say stupidly, there are not many other things in Daxia, but there are many people. If you don't do it, there will be more people rushing to do it. This will only make employees less motivated and less motivated. Moreover, design is a job that tests people's thoughts and emotions. I am so busy every day. No matter how little money I have, I can't design anything with soul at all. It's all templates. However, when new products are about to be launched, the design department will naturally have to struggle again. Give the design department a 2-day vacation. After returning from the vacation, select a few capable backbones to work with the robotic arm project team. Okay, sir, the announcement is done. Do you need to review it? Send it directly. At this moment, Bloomberg in the dream still doesn't know that the task of Gu Baopi will fall on him again. Uncle, you misunderstood the meaning. Our company develops bionic mechanical prosthetics. It does not take medicine, nor does it do human experiments. It is safe and harmless. Participating experimenters, after the end of the first phase of the experiment, can obtain a 10% off purchase qualification for the finished product on the market, and can enjoy 24 installments of interest-free. The product has already been tested independently by the RD team members, and now we give the test places to the relatives of employees in our company. First, it is for the diversity of experimental data. Second, it is also ordered by Mr. Gu to provide internal benefits to the company employees. If this bionic mechanical prosthesis is on the market, it should not be less than 5 figures. As a high-achieving student, Chu Ci is now engaged in sales promotion work, which is a dry-mouthed, heart-to-heart talker. Welfare? The elders said that there is no pie in the sky. You still want us to buy it in installments? Why don't you give it away for free? I watch TV, and it's easy to produce monsters when doing experiments. Facing the uncles on the production line who started interrupting in a few words, Chu Ci said helplessly, "Brothers and uncles, I am a researcher of the research team, how could I lie to you, and Mr. Gu supervises in the research room every day. This is not a pie in the sky, but the benefits you get for working for the company. The installment is 10% off the price of the product. The maximum amount of this money is several thousand yuan. You can pay it back in 24 months without interest. In our company, including the ants in the cafeteria, there is no one whose monthly salary is less than 4,000 yuan. Consider it high. There is also a monthly salary for participating in the experiment. We will sign a contract and work legally." Chapter 82 Special Groups. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Maybe it's because Gu Qing's face is big enough, or maybe it's because the benefits are really generous, or maybe it's because of the last sentence that he has a salary and signed the contract legally. At least after this sentence was uttered, the employees' discussions basically returned to normal. As an employee of a factory, if you didn't get good welfare housing in this factory in the last century, and didn't go to sea to do business to make money, then in fact, the family background of the average family would not be so rich, and as a worker's family, it would always be. It sounds like someone's leg was crushed or his hand was twisted by the machine. So when Chusi's RD personnel and factory management released the news and ensured the safety of the experiment, there were dozens of people outside the factory gate that afternoon. Some of them have healthy limbs, but are missing an ear or cannot speak. Of course, there are also middle-aged and elderly people with crutches or wheelchairs. Just as Gu Qing was still teaching the researchers, Director Luo hurriedly called and said that the outside of the factory had been occupied by the family members of the employees, because they are employees' family members, and most of them are disabled. Although Fu Dalong didn't know what happened in the factory, he notified the factory manager immediately and ordered the security personnel to intervene. But he didn't dare hard to come, can only persuade with good words. "Brother, you are also an employee of our factory, but isn't this matter still being counted? Go back and wait for a while." "Hey, brother, the statistician said that we need to submit the medical examination report to the hospital. People with physical disabilities like us, why don't we make a medical examination report? Just bring the disability certificate and come over to have a look." In real life, there are people who know the rules and regulations but find it troublesome. They are not bad or stupid, but they have received less education since they were young, so their behavior is different from the current college students. It is also necessary to confirm the identity, whether it is disabled. Come and have a look, by the way, ask what is the situation, do you need any other preparations, and even whether you can confirm the seat, so that there is not enough places and your relatives cannot be ranked, because a special group was involved. Qing did not wait until he had finished explaining the knowledge points before coming out. Instead, he briefly talked about what happened outside, and then walked out of the research building. When he arrived at the gate, Luo Songtang had already walked outside the gate, explaining the specific situation to those who could hear him. Looking at a group of people with missing arms and legs surrounding a few healthy people, the expressions on their faces were both anxious and urgent. It was the first time for Qing to see so many disabled people up close, and he was deeply moved. Because of infrastructure problems and road traffic conditions, ordinary people in Daxia seldom see disabled people in their daily lives, and even if they are blind, they will not go out, stay home and be alive. If you go out and take a special passage, you may die. The passage for the blind is a passage route paved with special patterns and uneven floor tiles that can often be seen on the roadside. It leads to the sewage ditch and the parking lot, but rarely leads to the home of the blind. There are also many private cars and construction projects blocking the blind road, making it difficult for blind people to walk. With his thoughts together, Qing walked slowly. When he walked out, Fu Dalong followed closely beside his boss. These disabled people stay at home every day. What if they have psychological problems and make trouble? He didn't want anything to happen to his boss. After all, the job was quite good, and he was close to home with a lot of money and little trouble. Qing didn't bother Lao Luo, who was explaining. He was still looking around, sizing up everyone. Seeing that Qing was a young man, these physically disabled people didn't take it seriously, thinking that Qing was a new employee in the factory. But the employee who brought them here knew Qing, the young boss who gave them a job at such a young age. Some people are afraid to speak. Luo Songtang felt the eyes of these people. He also turned his head and saw Qing. Mr. Gu, they're just a little excited, so they want to come to the factory to have a look in advance, not to gather crowds to make trouble. Luo Songtang hurriedly explained, trying to make his boss feel better. Qing nodded, walked up to Luo Songtang, and bowed to the staff and family members. Under the stares of everyone, he said, I am the current boss of this factory. My name is Qing. Thank you very much for your trust in us. I can understand everyone's anxiety. It's getting late now. Why don't you go to our cafeteria to have dinner and rest? Seeing that everyone hesitated, Qing went on to say, we are such a big factory, we won't fly from the house. This meal is also a hard work. You are here to care about our research and development projects, and we can talk about things after eating and drinking. Xiaoji reasoned with emotion, and the employees and their families finally came to the staff cafeteria. Otherwise, Qing would have to worry about letting this group of people continue to block the door. Not good. The staff canteen of Kyushu's smart home appliance manufacturing factory is pretty good, and many employees even prefer to eat in their own canteen compared to restaurants outside. All this is actually due to Qing. My big boss eats the cafeteria every day. In order to keep the job with another salary increase, the kitchen staff in the cafeteria are really hardworking. Vegetables shoddy. If you are eaten by the boss, do you still have a job? The meat has a fishy smell or even changed color. Expired. The big boss has diarrhea, don't think about it. 3 dishes and 1 soup every day. The big boss is tired of eating, thinks that the cooks are not skilled. What should I do if they don't give a raise? Therefore, the staff canteen of Jojo Science and Technology Company has a clean and hygienic environment, and the dishes are rich in taste and cheap. Considering that the big boss said that he had an upset stomach after eating hot pot, the menu in the cafeteria has been relatively light these days. Dishes such as millet porridge, yam porridge, and steamed egg custard were pushed out. Of course, for the sake of other employees, a few key flavors such as twice-cooked pork were reserved. However, the delicious food looks bleak under the big things about themselves. Many people just put down their bowls and chopsticks after eating a little, and then stared at Boss Gu. Qing originally had a good appetite, but seeing everyone like this, he gradually lost his appetite. In the final analysis, I still softened my heart. In order not to let himself feel bad, he made a phone call. Not long after, Dong Qi, Zhang Tianhao, and Chu Ci also came to the cafeteria. This is for you guys. Lao Luo cooperates with them. Remember to end it early so that they won't be troubled when it gets dark. After hastily ordering, Boss Gu introduced the identities of the next 3 people to everyone, then ran away with oil on his feet. If you do everything yourself every time, why do you need these management positions? P.S. With black technology, I am still used to paying attention to people's livelihood issues. The follow-up is that the Guojia team is off, and the crackdown time has finally passed, so we can have a little more fun. Chapter 84 Under the Prosperity. You are listening at novelfull.audio. But why? Isn't it rash to cut to the chase so quickly? It's only been a day since you came here, so it's not like meeting each other directly with a sword drawn. Gu Qing was a little puzzled. As a senior sister of Chusi, I am very grateful that you can participate in our experiment, but you are so eager to provide experimenters, there must be some stories in it. Hearing this question, Hu Tao closed his eyes slightly, took a deep breath, sorted out the complicated thoughts in his mind, and said, the unit I used to work for was a certain department of the army. There was a natural disaster last month, which caused several fighters had their limbs amputated, but 2 of them suffered from phantom pain, which was so painful every day. So, how did you know about our company's research project? Chu Ci told you. Gu Qing's voice was a little cold, and the feeling of being investigated was almost overflowing. Although I know that I will be investigated, and that Professor Zhuang Yue from Harbin Institute of Technology is also a bad person, but this dish has not been served, so you start to want to intervene. Mr. Gu, did you know that a UFO crossed the national border some time ago? Hu Ting said something abruptly, but Gu Qing was startled. I painted the drone with light-absorbing paint, and used satellite-encrypted signals to operate it. How could I be caught? But how can such a thing be verbally admitted? What UFO? Outlaws? Mr. Gu, the products that your Jojo technology company sent to Korea for review were burned to ashes in a fire that night. You must know that. Mentioning this, Gu Qing has the right to speak. Oh, I don't know if it's bad luck or what, none of the things we sent over were dangerous items that could burn and explode, but other things in that warehouse burned and exploded. I thought Hu Ting would continue to talk about this topic. Gu Qing was ready to turn his face, but maybe the other party's psychological skills are strong enough, and he didn't go deep into this topic, but said it. Mr. Gu, I have already signed the entry agreement, so I need to confess to you, the Titan Star series advertising video released by our company has been analyzed frame by experts, and the analysis has been reported. However, the organization did not infringe on your interests. On the contrary, we also partially modified the source of the advertising video to protect you and the company's technology. Following Hu Ting's narration, Gu Qing realized that he was still too young. From the first day, Boundary Monument was released, he actually entered the field of vision of a certain organization. However, at that time, he was still being investigated as a genius seed, but when he showed his mechanical intelligence and successfully created the Guardian No. 1, his information was raised to another level, and he also entered the army. Square Vision, then Professor Zhuang led a team to investigate, and then reached an agreement with Kyushu Technology Company, one of the purposes of which was to protect the research results of the Chinese people from being stolen by hostile forces. Maybe it's because the woman's voice is very nice, or maybe it's because the handling of the relevant departments didn't make Gu Qing feel disgusted. At least the conversation didn't last too long. The 2 sides exchanged their ideas, and after the conversation, the host and guest enjoyed themselves. After that, Zhuang Yue received a kindly greeting call from Gu Qing. Afterwards, maybe Lao Zhuang felt sorry, so he threw out someone. This is my former friend. He is also a determined veteran. If you encounter any situation, you can contact him. The management of the army in Daxia is actually very interesting. There are more people from the northeast who work in the southwest. Of course, veterans like Fu Dalong, the current security captain, don't count. However, Gu Qing actually wanted to get some benefits. After all, his family and contacts really didn't have any good relationship with the upper-level nobles. An honest and professional pig farmer. As a benefit, Gu Qing actually didn't think it would be such a big help, but there is a small demand that can be met. I really hope that the boss can leave a few veterans of the Special Forces or Reconnaissance Forces. Perhaps it was because Gu Qing had already gotten in touch. Or maybe Hu Ting's report had already been typed up, and Gu Qing's demand was not too much, and he could still achieve some goals. This old brother of Zhuang Yuwei swiped his pen. Several elite veterans who were about to retire were immediately offered job transfers. I didn't expect you to be such a thug. According to the arrangement of changing jobs, they are all above the subdepartment level when they go to the place, with a guaranteed monthly salary of 6,000. I don't need to remind you about this. Am I the kind of person who doesn't care? People treat me as a national scholar, so I will repay him as a national scholar. Gu Qing said with a righteous tone. Okay, I don't know what kind of temper you have, I don't know, but the arrangement will be sent to you later. Take it easy, kid. Zhuang Yuwei urged. I'm really not the kind of person who doesn't know the key. I've always been very stable when it comes to right and wrong. Gu Qing said helplessly, as for reporting this kind of complaint before. It's not really implemented, it can only be considered a trick. Okay, you boy, I can still trust it, and don't worry about it, I will tell you the truth, old boy, there are several geniuses in our country who were harmed by some forces after going abroad, so the relevant departments treat you. Some of the practices are actually really to protect you. Although this sounds like an invasion of your privacy, I can only say that this is a last resort, and even our old bones are protected by people in this regard. Professor Zhuang muttered a few more words. He still cared about this junior, and didn't want the other party to lose his temper because of some problems that shouldn't exist, which would be bad for everyone. After all, geniuses always have some special features, and to take good care of them, one has to be considerate. Gu Qing hung up the phone and asked Xuanwu to check some information, still feeling a little embarrassed. In my previous life, I heard that some geniuses committed suicide by wrestling, being shot, or drowning while swimming after going abroad. However, because the country needs to develop peacefully, it cannot tear the face so quickly, so it can only be handled secretly. Thinking about it, I still feel a little uncomfortable. After communicating with Dong Qi, there will be a group of high-quality and high-salary security personnel in the future, so he fell asleep. The moon crows. Old Professor Zhuang Yuwei rubbed his eyes sadly, looking at the city outside the window, with neon lights flashing, recalling those classmates and comrades back then. Tears welled up in my eyes again. Who really wants to swallow his anger? When he was studying abroad, he worried about his own safety while pretending to be ignorant, and even pretended to be ignorant of those people. But this scene of peace and prosperity is worth it after all. The motherland should not suffer like that again. PS1, it is to explain some strange things about Professor Zhuang, why he treats Gu Qing so differently. PS2, one of my friends joined a certain illegal organization as a summer job, and even became a manager. I was brainstorming how to deal with it tonight, so it took a long time. Sorry. PS3, thanks for the votes. Good night everyone. Chapter 85 Soldiers and Soldiers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mr. Gu, have you made a connection with the army? Dong Qi got up early in the morning, went to the office and turned on the computer, only to find that there was an extra document in the mailbox, which was full of resumes of veterans of the army. The main reason is that the resumes of these veterans are a bit unclear, so I took the initiative to find Gu Qing and wanted to ask clearly. After all, besides managing finances, he is also a vice president. If the company gets in line with the army, some things should be handled and arranged accordingly in the future. Gu Qing nodded slightly, and said very modestly, for a small matter, the relevant departments will not only help us establish a good security system, but also provide other support in the future. Winky face. Dong Qi looked at him suspiciously. Often when Gu Qing is modest, it is when this kid is pretending to be 13, who in the dormitory doesn't know. In order not to let this guy's goal be achieved, Dong Qi was puzzled for a second, then nodded very simply and said, well, I will communicate with Director Luo about their arrangement, and the treatment will definitely not poor. Unexpectedly, the other party didn't pick up the words, which made him unable to pretend to be 13. Gu Qing was a little disappointed. He said, their accommodation environment can be almost the same as that of ordinary employees in the factory, but there must be some separation in space. After all, they have tasks on them, and sometimes they need a certain amount of privacy. In this regard, you must notice. Understood, we will pay attention to this aspect. Gu Qing went on to say, I remember that Fu Dalong, the security captain, has a monthly salary of 8,000. For the time being, their salary will be calculated as the 8,000 basic salary. Next year, we will readjust the security system and personnel salaries. Next year? The year of the Great Xia calendar or the year of the Gregorian calendar? Dong Qi asked. What Gregorian calendar do we celebrate? Just after the annual holiday. Okay, then I'll get busy now. Dong Qi agreed and walked out of the laboratory building. Gu Qing watched Dong Qi leave and sighed again. Hu Ting left, and many uncontrollable situations happened to the experimental subjects. In fact, he still understands. After all, when the nerve signals are reconnected, the brain waves respond, and the brain will give a greater response than ordinary people. Those who suffer from high blood pressure may have to wait a little longer. However, a sister soldier left, and soon a few elder brothers came. Soldiers are expensive and fast, the superior leader explained the task, and 6 veterans from a special operations force left the army that day. Of course, the military status is actually reserved, but it has been encrypted, and outsiders cannot know it. In the cold winter season, the 6 men, dressed slightly thinly, rushed to the Zhuzhou smart home appliance manufacturing factory on the outskirts of Rongqing at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Their postures were not tall and straight, and their walking posture was no different from that of ordinary people, but when these 6 people walked to the guard room, Fu Dalong's breathing suddenly stagnated. Excuse me, what's the matter with you? That while Fu Dalong was asking, his right hand was slowly placed on the security stick behind him. This group of people felt very dangerous to him. Although he was dressed like an ordinary person, the look in his eyes made him alert. That feeling was similar to the feeling given to him by some Inhumans he saw when he was in the army and during the barracks competition. Hello, my name is Hatang. I am a new employee of the company. I have already communicated with Vice President Dong. The young man in the lead had a simple and honest face, and on his somewhat dark face, there was a contrast between his delicate features and delicate features. Please wait a moment, we will contact you. Fu Dalong made eye contact with the younger brothers beside him, and the latter picked up the phone to make contact, but Dong Qi is still in the future. Gu Qing came first. Originally, it was too boring to stare in the laboratory, so I just wandered around. But Xuanwu reminded that the person approved by a certain big boss had arrived, so he turned and walked straight to the gate, and Hatang had good eyesight, and saw the target enter the field of vision from a distance. He subconsciously narrowed his eyes to observe his surroundings. When his eyes glanced at Fu Dalong inadvertently, Fu Dalong was shocked. That's what it feels like. Just like the gaze of a cheetah when it is hunting, it is aggressive and wild, with a bloody taste in its acuity. Something is wrong with this group of people. But just as his security baton was about to be swung up, Gu Qing saw that something was wrong, and hurriedly shouted, "Don't do it. You are your own." After the words fell, Fu Dalong relaxed his mind a little, but still stared at the 6 people vigilantly. Although I have already lived a life of wives and children, but the things that have been soaked in the bones for many years are not so easy to forget. Uncle, don't be afraid, we are also a family. And Hatang explained, and then said, besides, this rubber security baton is not very useful to us. It would be bad if we accidentally hurt other people. As a veteran soldier, Fu Dalong may not be able to do other things, but he still has the ability to read words and deeds. Then the Dragon King temple was almost flooded by the flood, and the family didn't recognize the family. Dare I ask the brothers, which army is it? Snapped. And Hatang immediately stood tall and straight, with firm eyes, paid a military salute, and then returned to his lazy appearance. Keep it secret, ha. Gu Qing had already reached the guard room at this time. I saw An Hatang and the 5 people behind him straddling each other at the same time, looking forward with both eyes. Former An Hatang, Sergeant of the Elite Special Forces of Anxi Province, come and report. Former Sergeant Zhou Xian of the Elite Special Forces of Anxi Province, come and report. Former Sergeant Wang Yun of the Elite Special Forces of Anxi Province, come and report. Because Gu Qing is not a member of the army, the 6 of them did not salute the army. but just introduced themselves. Comrade Fu Dalong, who was just secretized, should naturally salute this veteran who is older than them, but at this moment, Comrade Fu Dalong felt mixed feelings. It was agreed to keep it secret. Why is it not kept secret all of a sudden? It is from the former elite special warfare unit of Anxi province, MADA. This unit was the unit he mentioned when he was playing 13 with his friends. The elite special forces of Anxi province are composed of a group of special forces members of a special warfare brigade in the Anxi military region. They are a group of fierce men who have really seen blood. These 6 people seem to be in their 30s, and they were not very old. They actually retired and came to their units collectively. A veteran with a good sense of smell, he feels something very different. Of course, the other security personnel in the guard room don't have such a keen sense of smell. At the moment, they just don't know what's going on. My boss recruited 6 more special forces. Counting the current head, that's 7. After that, who would dare to make trouble in the factory? Did those people come to block the door before and offend the boss? Chapter 86 The Great Dragon's Vigilance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. While shaking hands, Gu Qing looked at the 6 people. The leader, An Hatang, has a handsome appearance. Among the 6 black faces, his skin is fair, his eyes are very bright, and his hands are not as callous as imagined, but the strength of the handshake is calm and powerful. The second person is Zhou Xian on the left, with bright eyes, deep facial features, and a handsome appearance, but his skin is rough and his lips are cracked. The third Wang Yan fits the stereotype in Gu Qing's mind the most, with solid muscles, calloused palms, and a somewhat honest smile. After shaking hands and introducing them one by one, Gu Qing took Fu Dalong out and introduced them. After all, they will be colleagues from now on. At this time, Dong Qi also just came to the guard room. After exchanging a few pleasantries, Gu Qing said, "You guys just came, first go and see if the accommodation is okay. Let's go tonight, have a good meal in the cafeteria, and it will be a cleansing for everyone. About work, how about we discuss it together tomorrow? After all, future security will depend on these people, so Boss Gu is still very polite and caring." "Thank you, Mr. Gu, but the task is important. The 6 of us will conduct an on-the-spot survey of one factory area and the layout of the monitoring system first, and then we will have dinner." Wei Jun said to him. Gu Qing suddenly became a little interested when he heard the words. "You must know that the monitoring system of this factory, including the park, was set up by Xuanwu before. How big is the difference between artificial intelligence and humans?" 2 hours later, Gu Qing received the report. Although the camera's monitoring lens field of view has achieved all-round coverage, the camera protective cover and the lens of the smart dome camera are not well set up. When a high-level dome camera and 5 closed-circuit cameras are destroyed, there will be surveillance blind spots and blind spot. The fence at the side gate of the factory where raw materials are purchased is too short, the barbed wire fence is damaged, and the sewer has no partition net and monitoring. There is a 5-minute interval between security patrols every hour. The laboratory building does not have a dedicated security system and a special fire protection system. In the event of a special accident, security forces cannot arrive immediately. After writing down a lot of eloquence, Gu Qing shook his head. My little Xuanwu was still a little immature at the time, and the veterans recruited later were a little too oily. That night, after having a full meal in the cafeteria, Vice President Dong also received a bill: surveillance equipment, alarm equipment, special firefighting equipment, security equipment, a long list. The big 6 figures were taken out of the account, and fortunately, the funds of Kyushu Technology Company are still abundant. In the early morning of the next day, the security team, which was originally just gathering for sign-in, began to exert its strength, physical training. "Brother Long, your beer belly is coming out, come climb the mountain with us." An Hatang greeted the big brother Fu Dalong beside him. As a veteran soldier, Fu Dalong also came from a recruit who was drilled back then. How could he fall into this kind of trick? No, you are training here, I will go to patrol other places. Safety first, safety first." The young people who were brought out for physical training watched Fu Dalong walk away with disappointment on their faces. In the year, the Devil's Lecture began. The main point of the mountaineering step is to support the whole body with the arms, push the thighs and knees forward with the force of the core of the abdomen, and at the same time push the legs with force to push the whole leg forward. Remember to keep your body stable, feet, alternating supports. Now do it with me. If anyone can't keep up with the rhythm, if he is lazy and slippery, the instructor will deduct 1 point for him. I asked Mr. Gu for instructions yesterday. In the future, the year-end bonus and other bonuses of the security department will be linked to these assessment points. Those who perform too poorly will be fired. Kyushu Science and Technology Company has always implemented high salary incentives. Everyone still cherishes this job. The monthly salary of the most common security positions is a basic salary of 6,000, bonuses and subsidies are not included. This salary is not low in the Sichuan-Chongqing area. Moreover, the gazes of the 6 strong men made them submit subconsciously. In the morning mist, the cold ground was drenched with sweat. 6 sharp knives combed through the security system, and practiced other ordinary security personnel in the main entrance square every day, which can be regarded as a sight in the factory area. Time passed day by day like this, and the world changed little by little like this. December 10th, in order to prepare for Double 12, the Kyushu Smart Home Appliance Manufacturing Factory is in full swing, but at the end of the production line, there are a few more people with slightly strange movements. Their movement speed is actually very fast, but they always feel that their limbs are uncoordinated, and some people have 2 arms that are one big and one small, and some people have high and low feet, and they still feel a little uncomfortable when walking, but they work very quickly, as if they have been tied to the bed for several years and have not moved for a few years. After they are suddenly untied, they are able to exercise. They often shed tears when they are doing it, but they will be wiped clean soon and continue to work. They were the disabled employees of this factory who successfully installed bionic mechanical prostheses. After a few days of adaptation, they volunteered to return to the jobs they were familiar with. Although the products produced by this factory and even the boss have changed. But for them, it is a kind of happiness to meet familiar people and do familiar things. In the afternoon, a camouflage truck pulled into the garage of the factory, and a team of people came out carrying 2 stretchers. Qing could see clearly through the monitoring that the person tied up on the stretcher had a painful expression on his face, but he gritted his teeth and controlled himself not to move around, so as not to cause more trouble to others. Outside the research building, Qing saw Hu Ting again, together with a group of tough guys, although she was not wearing military uniforms, but ordinary clothes, but she still looked very heroic. President Gu, I brought him. Hu Ting said straight to the point. Obviously, she was talking like a caring big sister before, but now she has a serious face and a businesslike look. Qing nodded, and in Hatong and Zhou Xian behind him saw the signal, picked up the scanning equipment, and walked forward for a routine inspection. The 2 stood in front of each other, one checking and the other guarding. The expressions of the people carrying the stretcher were normal at first, but when Hatong walked in, their expressions changed immediately. The posture of the leader holding the inspection equipment was too similar to the posture of holding a gun and knife, but after all, they were performing a special mission, so they remained calm. After the inspection was over, Qing nodded after Hatong indicated that there was no problem, turning around and walking towards the research building. Hu Ting silently followed. There is an additional checkpoint surrounded by steel fences outside the laboratory building. There are 2 security guards on duty next to the checkpoint. They are not holding the rubber security batons they used to be, but electric shock sticks. They also have walkie-talkies and other security equipment. P.S. Thank you for the recommendation tickets. When you get 1,000 tickets, you will add more. Good night everybody. Chapter 87 Future Warrior. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Every big summer boy has a little fear of insufficient firepower in his heart. Qing is thinking about whether this cooperation can get a gun license or special equipment if it works well. After that, in case of any danger, I can reveal one more whole card. A group of people followed Qing into the research building and went straight to the 2nd floor, because it serves a special department. The experiment is also divided into 2 floors. The 1st floor is responsible for ordinary personnel in the 1st phase, and the 2nd floor is dedicated to special personnel. There are also some special equipment in the event room, such as game guns and balloons. As someone with a background, Chu Ci was naturally in charge of this floor. When the two fighters were carried to the test bench and took off their clothes, even though they had provided relevant photos and body data, Gu Qing still felt a little tingling. Of these two young soldiers suffering from phantom limb pain, one only has a complete right foot left, and the other has a real limb defect, and there are many deep scars on the exposed skin. Even so, the two of them were still awake. And there was still light in their eyes. The situation was complicated at the time, and it had to be so. Hu Ting calmly explained and didn't say much. I understand, let's get started. Those of you who need to record the process can stay, and the others should leave the laboratory first. As the contact person of both parties, Hu Ting naturally stayed in the research room, and then there was also a soldier holding a camera. Because there are too many physical defects, the bionic mechanical prosthesis we designed is different from ordinary single limbs, so we will remove hair and disinfect them later. Gu Qing looked at Hu Ting and said so. Yeah. The calm response made Boss Gu a little stunned. Can't this person understand? I'm going to take off light, hair removal and disinfection later. I am a psychologist, but my undergraduate degree is also a clinical medicine graduate. Understand, this is also for fierce people. Medical students are fierce people. Gu Qing nodded slightly in respect. Chu Ci and other assistants also came forward to start working. Of course, the two fighters enjoyed the cleanup at the same time. After the cleaning and disinfection were completed, the Xiaohao intelligent sweeping robot, which had been optimized and upgraded countless times, ran out of the corner. A few minutes later, the hair scattered in the laboratory was cleaned up, and Gu Qing also pushed two sets of bionic mechanical prosthetics aside. In fact, bionic mechanical prosthetics are no longer suitable, and these two sets should belong to mechas. Under the metal shell is a dark light-absorbing honeycomb pneumatic network structure material, and the streamlined mecha shape is full of the charm of industrial civilization. As for its combat effectiveness, sorry, without relying on the cable, the castrated transmission is equipped with a high-energy battery bought at a high price, and it will stop after an hour of normal exercise intensity. If you just sit still, it can last for 2 hours. This is the sincerity of Gu Qing's preparation, a futuristic fighter mech full of sci-fi. How about this gift? Gu Qing asked very modestly. Hu Ting's eyes were fixed on the two sets of mechs, her red lips parted unconsciously, and the camera brother, although his movements were a little stiff, was still doing his duty. Well, if there is no audience for pretending to be 13, naturally the sense of accomplishment will not be engaged. Gu Qing looked at Chu Ci and the others, including Zhou Wu, the 6 people. After hard experiments during this period, and Gu Qing's remedial lessons a few days ago, are now able to install this new mecha in a team of 3. In fact, it is a combination of bionic mechanical prostheses, covered with a metal shell, which is not difficult. Seeing Gu Qing looking over, Chu Ci and Zhou Wu had already assigned their team members. According to the usual practice, blindfolds were put on the two fighters, but they did not start to be tied up. Instead, after they were placed on the test bench, a brain-computer interface system was installed to assist in fixing the conduction equipment. Bionic robotic prosthetics fit accurately. Because there are too many prosthetics to be installed, many of the auxiliary fixation and transmission equipment overlap, so Gu Qing designed this set of future fighter mechs to give the two fighters a supportive body. A whole piece of carapace and breastplate and rib support modules are installed, and then the support modules for the waist and hips. When the mecha walks, the reaction force received by the foot contacting the ground will be transmitted by this module, and it will provide support for the mechanical prosthesis of the leg. After installing all these, Chu Ci and other talents began to skillfully bind the process, and did not put the metal shell of the mecha on the two fighters, because this was the first test, and there were still many places to optimize and adjust, so they did not require useless protective casing. Perfect mechanical structure. Looking at the two future mech fighters in front of him, Zhou Wu couldn't help sighing, and the big cameraman swallowed unconsciously. Gu Qing looked like he was watching a movie, and even wanted Xuanwu to play a BGM. Check the fitting of the rope and the various parts of the mech, and whether the nerve signal connector of the brain-computer system is fit with the signal converter. Chusi and the others were busy again. Few minutes later, after checking that there was no problem, Chu Ci said, "There is no problem. Everything is fine. Of course the most important thing is to power on." No matter how beautiful the light bulb is, it is useless without power. Boss Gu is naturally in charge of such a crucial step, and it must not be because of safety and the ability to cut off the power at any time. Phantom limb pain, also known as limb phantom pain, means that the patient feels that the severed limb is still there, and pain occurs there. The pain mostly occurs at the distal end of the amputated limb, and the nature of the pain can be varied, such as electric shock, cutting, tearing or burning, but at the end of the day, there is the most important reason, which is that the body believes that the lost limb still exists. So the moment Gu Qing was powered on, the two soldiers were shocked at the same time, because there are too many connected neurons and brain waves. The brain is shocked by familiar and unfamiliar data streams for a while, and the people who are hit only feel that they are in a tornado, and they cannot escape from fainting. Gu Qing sized up the two of them for a while, then turned his eyes casually, but found Hu Ting, who was not far away. His eyes were full of concern. Could it be that the younger one is really her relative? Gu Qing still remembers when he received the annual body data and medical records of the two soldiers. The younger soldier, before he was tanned, had pretty delicate features, and his facial features were similar to those of Hu Ting, but it didn't take long for him to think wildly. Amidst a few suppressed calls, the research room finally returned to silence. Li Shan recovered from the pain, and the phantom limb pain that had plagued him for countless days and nights disappeared at this moment. He subconsciously wanted to move, but found that he couldn't move his whole body. That's right, I voluntarily participated in the secret experiment. Could it be that the experiment failed? Chapter 88 Confidential Qualification Unit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The initial success of the first phase, and then we will gradually lift the restrictions. Please stay calm. Chu Ci introduced at the side, fearing that the subjects might not hear clearly, so he repeated it twice. As the ropes were untied one by one, Li Shan felt like a bug sealed in a cocoon, gradually regaining freedom, and when the rope around the waist was finally untied, a few seconds later, someone said, "The restriction has been untied, and the two of you can get up." As if the starting gun was fired for a 100-meter race, Li Shan and his comrades who were lying not far away suddenly sat up. The others couldn't help holding their breath seeing this scene. Both neurological feedback and brain waves made the two people who had been away from freedom for a long time suddenly feel the freedom of space, like a drowning person who suddenly returned to the shore. Li Shan took a big breath of fresh air unconsciously, and the lost limbs gave him many unreal feelings. But when he saw other experimenters and Hu Ting in his vision, he was stunned. Then, seeing her half-brother with her own eyes, Hu Ting stood up and walked towards her. Seeing this, Gu Qing said, "They have a strong ability to accept, and they can get out of bed and walk around now." At the beginning, it took him a long time to get used to it before he could force himself to manipulate Guardian Number 1 to stand up. However, there are some differences. He still has his limbs, extending the control of nerve signals, while the two fighters have no limbs, and the nerve signal feedback is restored. A limb consists of at least 29 sensors plus 6 microprocessors and muscle-shaping actuators combined with special materials. The microprocessor processes the signals converted from nerve signals and brain waves just like the brain, allowing infinite the brush motor works, so that this part can move and accelerate. With the help of this advanced bionic technology, as long as the important parts of the trunk and brain are still there, we can change his body. Of course, if the materials and energy can go further, it is not impossible that we can give users the power of 9 bulls and 2 tigers in the legend. What Gu Qing said was recorded by Hu Ting, and the 2 soldiers who were excited were also led by Chu Ci to carry out the experiment. After an hour passed, they came to the most important test site, target. Opposite the toy gun are 20 balloons, and each person shoots 10 rounds. Start. With an order, Li Shan touched the toy rifle in his hand. Although the color was much brighter than the ones he used to touch every day, it was still a gun with a kinetic energy greater than 1.8 joules per square centimeter. There are 10 balloons 5 meters away, but I don't know who made the prank, and there are funny smiling faces painted on the balloons. Are you going to hit them? He subconsciously knelt on his right knee, his left calf was perpendicular to the ground, the gun but rested on his shoulder, and he leaned forward to aim. If it is an ordinary body, although this action can allow the shooter to quickly enter the shooting state, the stability of the gun in the kneeling position is not high, but when Li Shan, who is wearing the future fighter mech, does this action, it seems to be frozen in general. The bottom plate is as stable as a rock. Bang! 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 With bursts of gunfire, one balloon after another was broken. Moments later, 10 balloons had burst. Fu Qing, who was watching outside, took a peek at Hu Ting and the others. Seeing the surprise on their faces, he couldn't help but sighed slightly. This is where it goes. After all, no matter how bionic the Guardian Mecha is, it is still a machine. Compared with the human body, the most important advantage of a machine is stability, but unfortunately, there is no real gun to shoot. 10 hits. Chu Ci was slightly excited. Li Shan was stunned for a while. When he handed over the toy rifle to another soldier, his expression was still a little dull. My body seems to be different, and the coherence and accuracy of my movements have been greatly improved, and after a few hours, inside an office in the Anxi military region. Good. 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 Jing Yongxing looked at the performance of the two fighters in the video with joy, and couldn't stop praising them. The rest of the senior military officers also showed their eyes, and their joy was beyond words. How many soldiers in the army were disabled and retired due to various tasks, although they have quite a lot of subsidies and bonuses. Their life after being disabled is so unsatisfactory that not everyone can accept it with pleasure. If this technology is stable, those disabled soldiers may not even be discharged from the army, or they may live a normal life after being discharged, not to mention the development prospects of this technology. As long as the materials and energy are upgraded, the power of 9 bulls and 2 tigers, and even flight, can make a soldier a strategic weapon in many cases. Until the end of the video, Jing Yongxing also returned to his usual serious demeanor. The core developer of this technology has a good relationship with us. I also arranged for someone to protect him before, but looking at it now, maybe this level of protection is not enough. A group of senior military officers nodded approvingly. The future war will be a high-tech war, and there will be less and less physical confrontation between people. Missile scrubbing, interception system defense, electronic information warfare, and Trinity coordinated sea, land, and air operations are increasingly testing national defense technology and military operational capabilities. This technology of Kyushu Science and Technology Company is actually being developed abroad, but there are almost no such systems, quick responses, and stable and reliable actions as it is now. This requires breakthroughs in hardware and intelligent coordination of software control systems and transmissions. So, after a brief meeting, Boss Gu's Kyushu Technology Company became a member of the pre-secret qualification unit. Of course, it has not yet been graded. After all, this matter still needs to be reported, and then it will be decided by the central government. There are 3 levels of secrecy qualification units, Level 1, Level 2 and Level 3. Units with first-level confidentiality qualifications are qualified to undertake scientific research and production tasks for top-secret projects. Units with second-level confidentiality qualifications are qualified to undertake scientific research and production tasks for confidential level projects. Third-level confidentiality qualification units are qualified to undertake scientific research and production tasks for secret-level projects. Among them, Professor Zhuang You's Harbin Institute of Technology is one of 10 universities in the world that have the ability to design, build and launch satellites. It is also a confidential unit. Of course, in Gu Qing's eyes, he is a special class, and he can enjoy super treatment with just an arc reactor. It's a pity that this thing can't be revealed at this time. Even if some forces get the news, he feels that he may have to live in an underground safe house tens of meters deep for the rest of his life. Moreover, even if the foreign forces do not mention it, it may even be difficult for the country, because the energy issue is too deeply involved. Chapter 89 Parents. You are listening at novelfull.audio. However, the review and investigation of these matters is still in the notebook, and Gu Qing was only relieved to pay attention to the technical confidentiality issues and the safety issues of the factory during this period. Of course, if you want a horse to run, you have to feed it. The upper echelon still understands this, so, early the next morning, a large package was delivered to the Jiuzhou Smart Home Appliance Manufacturing Factory on the outskirts of Rongcheng. After Gu Qing woke up, Xian Wu sent a lot of reminders. The security system monitoring has been upgraded, and the coverage area of the infrared sensor camera has been expanded by 300%. Anhatang had submitted an application to strengthen and optimize the security system, and Gu Qing agreed, and then gave them permission to communicate with Xuanwu. In fact, Xuanwu played the internal staff, and Hatang had read the investigation report of Gu Qing and Zhozhou Technology Company before, and knew that there were big programmers, so they cooperated well, but before he could check how many changes had taken place, a phone call came in suddenly. "Little bastard, have you forgotten Laozi's father and your mother?" That the rough voice woke Gu Qing up, and a female voice could be vaguely heard on the phone saying, "It's good that the child is busy with his own career, don't blame him." "Come on," Gu Qing, who was busy in the Tian laboratory and office, only now remembered that he forgot to call to report his safety this month. After he had a self-criticism, Mr. Gu said like a slash, "Your mother and I will arrive at Rongqing East Station at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you will pick me up." Beep beep. The busy tone on the other end of the phone rejected any request from Boss Gu, so Hatang and Zhou Xian came to a temporary task to accompany their big boss to the train station to pick up people, carrying luggage. I am ashamed to say that a company as big as Kyushu Technology Company, Limited has a profit of hundreds of millions, and the boss does not have a special car. They know a hammer. Public transportation is doing so well now. Isn't the car with hundreds of millions more comfortable and safe to sit in than the car with hundreds of thousands and millions? Sitting on the subway, Boss Gu talked so eloquently, and Hatang nodded in agreement. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the train arrived on time, and Gu Qing finally saw his long-lost parents. "Mom and Dad, are you tired from sitting? Just give us the luggage." And Hatang and Zhou Xian came forward with great insight and helped the two elders get their luggage, a bunch of big and small bags. "I said you don't need to bring so much. Your mother keeps saying that the price of pork has risen. You must not be able to eat it well. You keep talking about it every day." Guingchao said with emotion, "There are hundreds of pigs in our house, how could you be hungry?" Mother Gu said abruptly, "My son is my son, look, the baby has lost weight." All of a sudden, this charming woman was stunned, walked up to Gu Qing, and put her right hand on her child's head. "Baby, why do you have long white hair? Tell you every day, don't work overtime and don't stay up late, why don't you listen? I have long white hair at a young age, why should I want it?" Gu Qing's mother was named Lu Qingqing, her ancestors were originally landlords, and after a special period, she married Gu Yingchao, a rough man, who proposed the family's breeding business. A woman is gentle by nature, but a mother is strong. In order to allow Gu Qing to eat meat, the contract raising of pigs was planned by this strong woman. At that time, she was considered a strange woman. It's just that this strong woman now has a distressed face, and there are crystals in her eyes. Seeing his mother like this, Gu Qing felt a pain in his heart for no reason. "Mom, it's okay. The doctor said that the gray hair is a genetic problem and has nothing to do with the body. Our uncle used to be a teenager. I eat well and sleep well every day. The company makes so much money, how could it treat me badly?" After explaining for a long time, the expression on Gu's mother's face gradually improved. "Then you know to take good care of yourself. By the way, can you play with your friends?" Playing with friends means falling in love in Sichuan and Chongqing. I don't know what kind of brain circuit it is. The person who was worried just now suddenly became refreshed and asked about his son's relationship status. "Ah, I'm still young, don't worry about playing with my friends, wait a few years." "Oh, I don't know that you are talkative. Just like your father, you have a dull head. If you meet someone you like, you can tell Mom. I really don't have this idea. You wait a few years, and I will take one back when the time comes." Maybe it's been a long time since I saw her son. Gu's mother took Gu Qing's hand and chatted for a long time outside the station, and finally Gu Yingchao interjected. "I know you miss your baby, let's talk when we go back." Go back. Naturally, I didn't take the subway to transfer to the bus when I went back. Gu Qing called 2 special cars through a certain software. Along the way, Gu Qing encountered various soul questions, but he didn't feel bored or annoyed. Counting the days, he hasn't gone back to see his parents for almost a whole year. it is said that raising children is to prevent old age, but his son has grown up, and his parents are still worried, but after getting out of the car, this situation disappeared. After refurbishment, various equipment was installed by an Hatong and others. The main entrance of the factory is very bluffing. The flashing cameras from time to time and the security guards who have undergone systematic training and are in high spirits make people feel unclear. When other people enter the factory area, employees swipe their cards, and non-employees need various notifications and explanations, but when Gu Qing enters the factory area, he only needs to swipe his face. None of the two elders beside him dared to question him. But Gu's mother was careful, saw the sign on the wall, and then took her husband to the guard room to record the information, and went through the process before entering the factory. "Boy, you are so handsome," Gu Yingqiao said with emotion, just entering the guard's room. The respectful attitude of the young men made him a little bit unbearable. "Oh, Dad, it's not what you think." Gu Qing knew what it meant when he looked at his father's eyes. It was to remind himself not to engage in ostentation, and not to be divorced from the masses. "The main reason is that the salary I give is high, and they are doing their best." "High salary? How high?" Father Gu asked suspiciously. "The monthly salary of the probationary period is 5,000, and after the regularization, the monthly salary of ordinary security positions is 6,000, and the monthly salary of the security captain is 8,000, plus bonuses and benefits." Hearing his son's treatment, Gu's father was a little speechless. In the pig farm he opened, the salary of the technicians was not as high as that of the security captain. Are factories making so much money now? With doubts, the old man didn't listen to Gu Qing's arrangement, but asked him to take him to the factory workshop to have a look. The first time is raw and the second time is cooked. Professor Zhuang came for a round, and Gu Qing had some experience, so he asked his parents to change into work clothes and went to the workshop. When they first watched the workers on the production line busy, the two elders were not too surprised. When they walked to the unmanned production workshop, they were surprised by the high-tech movie-like scene. P.S. Thanks to Schrodinger's cat's reincarnation accuser for the reward of 100 starting coins, Hammer's own reward of 200 starting coins, and everyone's recommendation votes. Tomorrow will be overhauled, and the revised items include but are not limited to harmony symbols, harmonious plots, and data descriptions. Reading is just a pleasure to read. Book friends who make comments should feel more comfortable. Chapter 90, Korean Star Strategy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the production line, small parts are assembled by robotic arms one by one, and entered into instruments for inspection and installation. "Baby, you don't need people in this workshop anymore," Gu Yingqiao asked in surprise. "These robotic arms can be said to be more flexible than ordinary workers, and they are very meticulous in their work. They can not only work on parts the size of a little finger, but also transport large equipment parts, and they will not have fatigue rest time like humans. If things go on like this, what is the use of ordinary workers?" Gu Qing smiled and nodded, and said, "Dad, this is an unmanned production workshop, the space inside is dust-free, and the content of the work requires high-precision operation, so it is all mechanical arms, and the one you just saw there are still people working at the end of the line." Gu Yingqiao felt that he was like Grandma Lu entering the Grandview Garden, and that his son's factory was full of novelty. The joints of those robotic arms are simply more flexible than those of humans, and there are muscle-like things moving during work, and there is no noise. Compared to yours, the feed manufacturing workshop of our pig farm is like a fire stick. Gu Yingqiao's tone was full of sighs. "Dad, now is the high-tech era, and what we build here are intelligent home appliance robots, not pig feed such as cutting sweet potatoes and corn." Gu Qing explained. "You old antique, now you know what your baby is busy with all day long." Gu's mother smiled from the side. Just like that, after visiting the production plant, Gu Qing took the second elder to the research building to look around. Although they didn't go to the second floor, they were also surprised to see the disabled relatives of the employees on the first floor walking, running and jumping like normal people. "Baby, is this your company's technology?" Gu Yingqiao felt that his world view was refreshed all of a sudden. "This bastard boy of mine often failed math in high school, Why did he come up with this kind of high technology after not seeing him for a few years? It's not scientific. My baby knows how to study hard. Why are you talking sarcastically? Let's not cause trouble for others here. Let's go to the place where my baby eats. Gu's mother is not very concerned about the progress of the child's career, but more concerned about the child's accommodation, food and clothing. Fortunately, in this regard, the canteen in the factory area still gave the mother a passing grade, from small bowl dishes to big pot dishes, from mao dishes to main dishes, soups and snacks. The chefs in charge of the canteen are still working hard as always. After all, rumors spread in the factory that the business has been very good recently. And the wages may be raised next year. Originally, the salaries of the employees of the entire Kyushu Technology Company were not low, and if they increased further, it would be just around the corner to buy a house or something. Gu Qing deliberately asked the cooks to cook an old hen and some appetizers, and then Gu's mother pushed away the small wine prepared by Gu Qing under Gu's father's eager eyes. Since you were in your senior year, I have given up drinking. I don't drink or drink. Gu Yingqiao withdrew his gaze and said with a righteous face, Gu Qing understood, her father is really a good husband. Quitting smoking and drinking is good for your health. Scientists also say that when you get older, you should eat less meat and be healthier, especially those with strong flavors such as braised pork and braised pork. You should quit. Mother Gu nodded thoughtfully when she heard what Gu Qing said. Gu's father looked at his good son with dull eyes, and hurriedly picked up a chopstick of potatoes and braised pork. Let him quit smoking and drinking, but meat? Joke. Thinking of the private money hidden under his bed, and comparing the current price of meat, Gu's father wiped out more than half of the braised pork with tears in his eyes. After finally finishing dinner with the child, Gu's mother hurried to inspect Gu Qing's bedroom again, but with the intelligent sweeping robot, Gu Qing's room is still clean and tidy, and the time I lived here was limited. If you are alone outside, you still have to take good care of yourself. If you have a girlfriend, someone can clean up your room for you. Mother Gu muttered casually. Gu Qing nodded and dealt with it, although he was in a good mood seeing his parents in good health, but after being in touch with them for a long time, he was really a little. After finally sending the two elders to the temporarily booked hotel, Gu Qing returned to his dormitory, fell asleep and fell asleep. This is more tiring than when entertaining Professor Zhuang Yue and his party. Talking about love is still a little far away, just like that, in the dream. Boss Gu rejected the female bodhisattva's invitation several times, and devoted himself to solving puzzles. In a daze, before dawn, his cell phone rang, with the 4000 mAh large-capacity battery of Xiaowei Mate 10 and the advanced smart power-saving technology of Boundary Monument. The standby time is still quite long, but generally no one calls him. After all, Xuanwu works for him through the internal office system of Boundary Monument, so trivial matters don't bother him at all. The caller is Huang Chaoran. As soon as he got to answer the call, Lao Huang's increasingly rough voice came over. Hold the grass, Brother Gu, don't sleep, the big one is coming. There is big news. What the hell? The big one is coming. Gu Qing was not fully awake yet, but his ears were buzzing from the shock of this voice. What's the matter? Please speak slowly, my ears hurt a little. Considering that it is relatively early now, Huang Chaoran made a long story short. The V letter and scarf have gone crazy. According to Korean media reports, Korean Star will buy Global Foundries, the world's second largest foundry, and will also acquire Israeli multi-aperture imaging technology provider Korephotonics, CP. It is expected to acquire equity from CP's largest shareholder before the end of February, at a cost of approximately $150 million to $160 million. What the hell? Is the Korean Star a star? Although a little puzzled, Gu Qing was finally sober. What news? You tell me, I'm listening. And just now, Xia Wei said that he wanted to invite you to a meeting at the end of the month, and I will send you the document right away. Well, okay, you should also pay attention to rest. Your voice is almost turning into a duck's voice. After hanging up the phone, Xuanwu thoughtfully arranged the information of the two companies that Han Xing wanted to acquire. Global Foundries has 11 fabs around the world. Since it gave up the process below 7 nanometers, it has made great efforts in other processes. This also makes GlobalFoundries the only foundry company in the world that operates 12-inch wafer fabs on 3 continents, Asia, Singapore, Europe, Germany, and America, United States. Since its establishment in Xiaoyin Star Calendar 1009, GlobalFoundries, which integrates AMD's manufacturing department, Chartered Semiconductors, and IBM's semiconductor business, has determined the technical development policy of FinFET and FDSOI walking on 2 legs. If GlobalFoundries is acquired, Hansung Electronics will form a trend of comprehensive coverage of GlobalFoundries in advanced manufacturing processes. P.S. Thank you for your recommendation tickets, and the monthly ticket for Rookie V which. I am really happy to see the familiar ID every day. The deletion and modification of the harmony symbols have been completed. The plot adjustment is also continuing. Be full and coherent again. Good night.